Welcome to the Streets and People podcast, where we explore having more transport options that are less hassle to use. Hosted by Get Around Caboolture, we bring you 3 types of episodes. People and Projects share stories of change. Not Everyone Drives gives voice to non-drivers. Road Rules 360 unpacks road rules for people outside a car. Music by Grand Project, and let's make our Grand Project reimagining streets made for people. Today we're doing one of our People and Projects episodes. I'm here in the studio with John Duncan from Break Australia. So there are other Break organisations, but they are different. We're talking about the Australian mob here in Queensland. And full disclosure, our logo is on your website as a supporter. I'm here on Gubbi Gubbi country in Queensland in Caboolture. I know you, John. I think we just had a bit of a social media exchange, and that's how we got to know each other. Perhaps, John, you could say where you're calling from. Also, what made you interested in this whole area, and what is Break Australia? I don't know whether you know the difference between Break UK and Break New Zealand.
Oh, and I'm on Yugambeh land down near Jimboomba in southeast Queensland, so very cold at the moment. What got me into the road safety space was my background in psychology. Studied that at university, always had a passion for helping people and trying to make a difference. I think that's why we're all in this space, is to make a difference. Unfortunately, there is a need here, and I'm loving to do it and try to make a difference with people. I don't know too much about Break UK or New Zealand. I think they're in the road safety space. Whereas Break Australia, what we do is that we're an education program for high school students. So that's our area, is the brain development to risk, hazards, peer pressure, all the real cognitive functioning with driving. That's our niche area.
When we were speaking last, you mentioned that your dad was also a copper, and that was part of the history.
About 20 years ago, he'd been in the police and then moved up to Queensland and found his place in Jimboomba, but increasing deaths in the young people, P-platers that had just got their license and having to go around knocking on doors, talking to parents at 4 a.m. I guess with all emergency services, it does take the toll on you. And he just said that something had to change. It's just traumatizing himself, having to give that news to parents, just breaking their world into pieces in that moment. And they looked online for an education course that was evidence-based on best research, doing the right things rather than just doing something to do something. And they looked for it and they couldn't find anything. So he thought, you know what, I'll do it myself. And along with other emergency service personnel in the area, ambulance, fire brigade, teachers were a big influence in it. They created a program just for the few schools around that area, Flagstone, Park Ridge, Bay Desert, just that area. And that's all they were really intending to do, was just help the community. And then all of a sudden, within a year, they were getting phone calls from Cairns, Mount Isa area. And it just showed that there was really a need for an evidence-based road safety education program for young people at that critical stage.
And what it also shows is that one person can make a difference. So your dad is just one of many police officers who has to do that absolutely horrific job of speaking with the parents of children who have died and been killed by a car crash, loved ones. So he just initiated that because he wanted to see something different. And then those teachers also reached out to each other and said, I want to do something different.
It's so true. There's such a big thing now, especially with social media or mobiles, that the bystander effect, that, oh, I'm just going to stand here and film this and wait for someone else to do something. Everyone can do something. And it just takes that little bit of courage to go, that's going to be me and I'm going to do this. We've just officially announced a new Break ambassador, and that's Wallaby player Marika Korobetti. He's played, I think, 63 tests for the Wallabies, and any rugby union fan from around the world knows who he is. And he himself has gone, I have a standing in the community. Young people listen to me. I'm going to do something about this. I want to protect my community. So that's a prime example there of someone that has such a large influence going, I can make a difference here. I'm not going to leave it to other people. We're very excited to have him on board, and young people listen to him.
And how does it work in the schools? Give me a little bit more context to how it operates.
How Break operates is teachers teach the program in the classroom to their students, because teachers know their students best. And that's something that evidence has found in being able to evaluate teacher impact. Teachers have a great ability of understanding student risk propensity. So they'll understand from their class of 30 students, which students are more likely to take the risk. Based on that, teachers are really good at predicting which students are more likely to be involved in a crash earlier on, because they have that understanding of how that student functions. So they can alter how they teach the program to each student, because they know the student best, and that's where students learn best from. What Break is doing is trying to educate the psychological processes, the mental complexities, behavior, attitude. So there's no physical driving, there's everything that's going on in the human mind. The big thing what we do is we work with universities and crash research centers to really make sure that the program is evidence-based. It's hard when you're creating a program, everything needs to be evaluated, and that's hard to determine whether something's successful because there's so many influences and factors and all these things that you're never going to get a group of 1,000 young people that have had the same upbringing, same parenting style, same influences, same environmental group. So what we do is really ensure that it's fact-based, evidence-based. Psychology helps with that a lot, and consulting with a lot of different groups to really ensure that's what's happening. And what we're looking to do is to go Australia-wide. So we're funding through the Queensland government's Community Road Safety Grant Scheme. So that subsidises the cost for all schools in Queensland. Through that, we've been able to develop a new delivery model that means every school, regardless of location, can access the program. And that's really important because around 60% of our road fatalities happen in regional and rural areas. So traditionally, due to the vast nature of our country, those areas have had a lack of resources because driving instructors, road safety, education, it takes so much to take resources there. They might get training once every 3-4 years. But with this new model that we've developed, every school, regardless of location, if they have internet, they've got access to the program to get the vital information that young people need to stay safe on the road. The thing with Break is that it's so scalable with that delivery model. It's cost effective, it's easy, it works, students respond to it well, and students need this. Kind of a no-brainer when in terms of you look at all the trauma, all that impact on families, friends, emergency service workers, the community itself. You look at the economic costs of road safety and trauma, and education is part of the solution. It's not the solution. It just needs to really be out there for every student and young person. As humans, we all want to be a part of a community. We all want to belong. We all want to be accepted. But it seems like once you get into that car, that sense of belonging or community is just gone. I've got these barriers around me. I can drive how I want to. I can behave how I want to. No one's going to judge me because it's me against everyone. But then if your friend's driving and they cut you off, it's, oh, yeah, whatever. But anyone else, people become aggressive and it's a personal attack. That's my space. When the road's a shared space, it's all our space. And we all have a responsibility to look after each other in our community. It's not just I get in the car and these big US trucks with the square bonnets and all the issues they cause if they impact with a pedestrian or a cyclist or a mobility rider. Now I'm in my capsule. If I crash, I'm safe, but without thinking about at all the impact on anyone else. So that's a big part of the program, is that understanding that you're part of the community and that I'm responsible for other people in my community. And driving is a complex task. I'm responsible that other road users and my friends get home safe. Our evaluation data shows that from before the program and after the program, there is a big shift in young people's attitudes to understanding, one, that driving is complex. It takes full attention. It's not just something you can have a go at and then if you severely make an error, you have another go at. This is real life and it's a privilege to have a license. And two, that shared responsibility of it's not just about me. My actions impact other people. We're working with students predominantly before they get their license, and how we want our future to be for Break and where we see it in the education space is a year 7 and 8 program, to 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12, because these are key learning stages that are rapidly different. It happens so quick, their worldview and everything changing during that high school period of time. So that's something that we'd like to be able to track through longitudinal studies from year 7 to year 12. And then that year 12 Break program really be about, okay, you've been out on the road. Let's talk about your experience now, rather than no young person wants to be lectured or told what to do. You've got to really put it in a way that appeals to them and that they're in control of this story. We measure 70 data points with every student to make sure the program's evidence-based, the right content, right desired outcomes, that it is working and helping young people safe. You get the odd smart aleck student that you can't avoid that do give negative responses to everything. And it's hard because in a study and research perspective, you're always going to get those responses from young people trying to show off, and that's what they view as cool. We try to track if we are changing any of those very strongly negative responses to maybe turning it to just to a negative comment or a negative response. So you can't move mountains, unfortunately, but most of the time it's just trying to show off to their peers. Currently, the program's targeted at year 9s and 10s and 11s. Based on evidence, that's the perfect area to really get into these young people's attitudes and behavior intentions and be able to shape them, because it's such a key learning stage. And it's right when that light bulb's going off in their mind that, hey, soon I'm going to have this freedom. Mum and dad aren't going to have to drive me around. I can go pick my mates up. They've got that interest in driving. They're unconsciously not aware of how to do it, but they've got that conscious that, oh, it's going to be so good in a year or two when I can do that. So that's a real target area for us to get this intervention in, to be able to shape these attitudes, behavior, intentions before they get on the road and put negative habits and grow on from that, especially because that first year of independent road use is then most at risk to be involved in a fatal crash. What we do is we do reinforcement testing. There's 6 modules in BRAKE, and then there's 2 additional optional modules. There's 7 quiz questions, how they're attaining the information, how it's being reinforced. And those questions are purely to reinforce what they're learning. That's really what we do, is positive reinforcement, not a you're wrong, you're already a bad driver. We don't want to make anyone think that. We just want to get that thinking themselves, and that they're the ones in control of following the right information to be a safe road user. We've recently done some work with Cars Q, which their new name is Make QUT Road Safety Research Collaboration. And that's to really bridge the gap with parents. So parents are the most influential person or influence on young people. And I don't think parents understand that young people are watching them from all their life. They're watching their driving behaviours, their attitudes, behaviours to all road users. So if a parent has a negative attitude towards cyclists, their child's likely to think that's normal. They grow up with that. They get to their license, and that's a habit they take on board. We've created a parent hub on the BRAKE website where there's 5 key learning stages for the licensing system for a young person, and that's before they get their license, when they're going to get their license, during the license, when they get their Ps, and then also e-scooter and e-bike education. So this information there is available for all parents at any stage. It's all based on evidence, and it's really just there to guide parents during this time of their child getting their license. And that doesn't end once they've got their license. Even just as important once their child has their Ps, because that's the most dangerous time. So just strategies and things like always being available for your child to feel like they can call you at 2 a.m. instead of getting in a car with a drunk friend. Always just be that backup plan for your child, because if they feel like they can call you when they're out drinking, that can just save their life. There's so much research and so many stereotypes we've had, like even when my child gets their license, I'm going to get them an old car because they're going to crash it. Or I'm not going to let my child use my fancy car because they'll crash it. But as a parent, you're more likely to have the car that's newer with all the safety technologies and systems in place that will protect your child if they crash it. Studies also show that a child's more likely to drive safely in your car. So little things like that, it's where a parent can continue to have influence on their child and not bank on a crash being a scratch, because a lot of the time it's not going to be.
So what has been the impact of it?
We've had over 90,000 young people complete the program in over 190 schools, and with the help of over 600 teachers, and our evaluation of over 950 students last year from pre-BRAKE program to after completing the program come back with really positive results, such as 20% increases in peer awareness, getting a 99% compliance of students understanding that they have such a responsible task there, that it is complex. The responsibility to look after cyclists, pedestrians, e-mobility riders now, and other drivers and their passengers is on them. It's not just a game. It's just not, I get another chance, or eventually I'll become good at this. There's been a 7% increase in young people feeling confident to speak up as a passenger, that they have got agency. And a big thing for us is really building the confidence up in young females, because they have such a large agency in that car. The deaths show that the majority of deaths are young males. Females are slowly increasing in that, unfortunately, but predominantly young males. And that's the appetite for risk, showing off, pressures. And a lot of the time in the classroom, we can see that when a young female says, "That's not cool, Jimmy," all of a sudden that male that's trying to show off starts dropping back a little bit, being a bit quieter. By the end of the session, if the females have continued to discuss responsible driving, things like that, you find that the young males start agreeing with them too. So that kind of bravado effect of, oh, how cool is this that I can speed or do this and that? If we can create a confidence in young females to say, "That's not cool, I'm not feeling safe, stop the car," men do change their behavior.
Do you speak about macho behaviour of the mob mentality and how that impacts?
Within that first couple of years of getting their license, you add a passenger of their age to the car, that increases the chance of a fatal crash by 2. If you add more than 2 friends to the car, that risk can increase to 5 times more likely to be involved in a fatal crash. So it's that kind of herd mentality once you've got other people with you. We got to remember that young people at that stage is such a critical time for social pressures and trying to fit in and finding your place in the world, your own beliefs, being confident in that. So young people, I guess we all kind of went through it, didn't we? That you don't want to say something that's uncool. You want to be seen as cool, and you have that fear of social rejection. So that young person may not do that on their own, but once there's a group of people around, they might see that as this is what makes me fit in or be cool, when a lot of the time you find the other people in the car don't find that cool, but they're thinking other people do, so they go along with it too. So it's just this vicious cycle, really.
I think in New South Wales there's a law which says you can't have more than 2 P-platers in a car. I'm not sure of the legislation. I can see now why that would be the case. So what I see is a lot of young guys, they're either at uni or at TAFE, because that's when they can afford a car, particularly at TAFE. Maybe one of the older students is driving them to a site and they've got work. Is perhaps TAFE a good avenue for also running the program?
Yeah, 100%. We've been in TAFE's correctional services. That's another area where the program is really beneficial. And TAFE's a very important one too, because apprentices, when they join the workforce and the trade industry, there is a bit of a culture of, okay, it's your first year, we all had to go through the hard yards. So the apprentice may have had their license for 6 months, but they're getting sent on that job that's an hour and a half away. They've just adapted from school into the workforce, working long hours, waking up at 4 a.m. to drive there, working all day on the tools, and then driving home at 5, 6 p.m. They're not used to the fatigue. They don't have the experience or the knowledge, and they've got to somehow juggle all this to get home. That's an important one, because there's a lot of work sites themselves and businesses understanding that risk for young people.
I was speaking with a guy once, a young guy, and what he said is something about the third person effect, it's called, where it's not me, it's all those other crazy drivers on the road who are the problem. He said, you come up to an intersection and there's some old couple coming out of the intersection and they're going really slow, and the driver going along at 80, they've just T-boned them. It's the old couple who are coming out who are at fault and taking no responsibility, just the idea that, well, it's not me, it's them. And I hear this a lot, particularly with guys. Do you find that that is more with the guys than with the gals?
Yeah, I think so. And that's a big area that we try to teach in the program. For example, one of the big discussion points we have is you're approaching an intersection with traffic lights. You've got the green light, say it's 80 kilometers. Do you just keep going without looking across at the intersection, just trusting every other road user's following the rules? Or when you're approaching, be a bit cautious that someone could be running a red light. And we've had this discussion with parents, and often men, like you're saying, dads, they'll say, well, that's not their fault if someone crashes into them, they've got the green light. But then what we're trying to put across is that, yeah, but they're dead now. So it doesn't matter that it's not their fault. There's things everyone can do to prevent that happening. So with the old couple coming out, it's slowing down and going, okay, someone could be coming out, I need to slow down, or I need to be cautious. Then if the car's starting to come out, then slow down and go, okay, even though they're in the wrong, even though I might be doing everything perfect, there is something I can do to prevent this crash. Because at the end of the day, there's no point being right if you're injured, harmed, or dead. There's all things we can all do.
And there's no point being right when you end up with PTSD because you have killed or seriously injured somebody. The statistics in Australia are that 3 people a day on average are killed in a car crash, and 2 people each hour leave a car crash with a disability. And another area is driveways. Children are run over in driveways when people back out of there onto the road. Because kids are actually really quick, and they're often below the bonnet size now because of the size of the vehicles as well. So the cameras don't work in the way that they should, and the 6-foot fences and a lot of the footpaths are quite hidden now. I actually saw recently where a woman backed out and she almost hit these kids, and she was mortified.
A big thing we try to teach is expect the unexpected. Driving through a street, cars around, a car could dart out, a car could suddenly stop, kids could run out. And we all should feel a sense of responsibility. If I can prevent something by just being a bit more aware or expecting the unexpected, that I will do the best I can. Just because I'm in a car and I'm going to be protected in those situations, it doesn't mean that other people are, and it doesn't mean that they're any less important. And that's the same as the approach to cyclists, the approach to other road users. It's kind of a mentality of once I'm in that vehicle, it's me versus everyone. And I think there'll be a lot of studies coming since COVID about that kind of factor and the independence now approach when you're driving. It's an invincibility and it's me versus everyone else. And that road's my road, not our road. It's a shared community at the end of the day, and we all have that responsibility.
I saw a little social media post. It said, you own a car, you don't own the road. But I think there is something about being in a car, you're hermetically sealed, you're completely shut out, you don't hear the outside world, you don't see the outside world. You're in 2 tons of metal now, these big cars, you're elevated from the street. And I wonder if that's part of the problem, that people feel that they are separate from the street, because actually they are separate from the street.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And definitely with these American trucks that are coming over and their massive square bonnets. And I saw one the other day and it had been lifted a bit too. And you can't see over them. If a kid run out on the street to collect their ball, you don't have time to even see them in the first place. And yes, that mentality of I'll be fine, my family in my car might be fine, but everyone else isn't in the size of these vehicles.
If you kill somebody or hurt somebody, you are just as traumatized. And I think often that is not understood.
Oh, 100%. Every crash, just a minor crash, there's a ripple effect of that too. It doesn't need to be a crash that causes death or a severe injury, even just a minor whiplash. That lasts people forever, and that ripples onto other people too. And that ripples through not only just people and communities, it ripples through the economy too. The cost of the crash, the time off work you need, the less functioning because of that PTSD through productivity in the workplace. It's an economic and a community issue too, let alone the pain it causes between everyone.
You've been going for a while now, 20 years. So what have you stopped doing and what have you started doing? What changed in the program?
Every year we really evaluate the program, and that's through working with institutions like Cars Q and things like that. With emerging technologies, emerging mobility, e-mobility now is a really a big issue, and that's a well-rounded issue, whereas infrastructure needs to improve, laws and education significantly needs to be provided to young people and parents too, because parents see e-bikes and e-scooters maybe even as a toy. That's a big misconception that we're really trying to change, and we've brought in a program for e-mobility for young people and to really change that view that it's a serious mode of transport, and injuries and deaths are significantly increasing each year with the introduction of these modes of transport. A big thing for us is providing that education to young people about the rules and laws and statistics of how to ride and where to ride and why those laws are in place, and for parents to understand that the speed limits are there for a reason, on why they're capped, these mobility scooters, and why not modifying is important, and all the things around that. There's even just the legal age to ride an e-scooter. Parents I know are thinking it's a very good alternative mode of transport, but buying an e-scooter for their 11-year-old child, that's illegal. You can't ride an e-scooter on your own till you're 16. You can't even ride one at all until you're 12. And then from 12 to 16, you need parental guidance whilst you're riding it. So when we talk to teachers and parents about this, they're not aware of that yet. And that law's in place for a reason. So just providing extra education on these kind of things, that's how the program is always changing, is seeing what's being adapted and what's coming out and providing the right resources. That's fact-based, not just ticking a box.
We're heading up to the point in the program where I bring to mind a listener. And so there are 2 that I bring. One is somebody in the community who's got no time, no money, doesn't know what to do. They think, oh yeah, that would be something really good. And I always think about a mum, because mums are always flat chat with everything. What would you suggest is something they can do about brake?
I think the first thing is knowing there is something I can do. Everyone can do something. If you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? That's the big thing. First, it's understanding that I can do something and I will do something. What you could do is speak to your local school, speak to the TAFE, ask them, are they doing the brake program? Bring it to their attention that, is my child being provided this, or local kids in our community, are they be providing this program? And you're concerned with the amount of deaths and trauma, and just the statistics are horrible for young people, particularly in that first year of driving. So you can get on social media, share posts, show support like that. there is just something that everyone can do at the end of the day, and that's the big thing. What we have found is parents are so influential to schools being receptive to do the program. Every Queensland high school has the option to do it. If a parent is concerned in the community, or if they're listening and they're thinking, I'd love my child to be able to have access to this behaviour and attitude changing program, speak to the school, ask your school, hey, I know the break program, I'd really like my child to be able to have access to it. Do you guys offer it? Schools are very receptive to that. We have schools calling us and saying, we've just lost a student, we really need the program. And they can start the program next week once their teachers have done the training. So the turnover time is instant almost for schools. So yeah, get out in your community, ask your schools, ask teachers, talk to your council, talk to your local MPs. There's so much everyone can do, and it's a shared responsibility that we all get out and try to prevent these pointless loss of lives. We actually just released a rural remote module and a e-mobility module that's focusing on e-scooter education and e-bikes education.
I would like the TAFE to teach the young guys around here, because there's a lot of tradies around here. So could I just go to my TAFE and say, I'd really like your different tradespeople to do the program? Is that something that I could do?
Definitely reach out to the local TAFE and tell them why and why you're concerned, and let them know to get in contact with us, and we can take it from there. That's happened a lot in the past, where particularly parents in their community have really wanted their child to be provided the program, and parents have reached out to the school, and then the school gets in contact with us. So it'd be the same process there. And at the end of the day, every human wants their kids and young people to be safe. And yeah, everyone has, I think, a responsibility there.
And so if you're at the bottom of the food chain at council and you think, gee, this would be something really good that maybe council could use, for instance, even with its maintenance vehicles, staff community, is there a way that staff can do it, say, at council?
Yeah, definitely. So in the past, we've worked with councils, and they're one of the major supporters of the program, because what we want to do is in those communities, in councils, is there's multiple schools, multiple young people, and they're a really big help to us. So if you're at a local council, bring break to the attention of the decision makers, show support. We have a supporters page on our webpage that we can mention councils into, talking to local schools and really rallying the local community to be part of break, because we want to create a road safety community that takes road safety seriously in the sense of their own responsibility and everyone's responsibility. So you're at a local council, discuss break with who you think you need to, bring it to the attention, because I think sometimes we fall into the trap that everyone knows about this, rather than I know about it, I won't mention it to someone else because they surely already know about it. And that's not the case most of the time. So bring it to the attention of anyone, really, at the end of the day, of who you think.
So we're just about to close out. Are there any final thoughts, any closing remarks, anything else that you wish I should have asked that I didn't ask that you would like to respond to?
For anyone listening that wants to make a difference or wants to get involved, or if you're a business owner or anything like that, you want to make a difference, you can always go to our website at www.break.org.au, and there's so many resources on there. As I mentioned earlier, the For Parents section, which is very beneficial for parents at any stage that are worried about road safety and their child getting on the road. There's all the key information you need for every milestone or having a child, from before driving to getting their LSPs, just anything that you need, there's information there. And if anyone would like to find out any information or have any questions, just get in contact with us, and we're always happy to help and provide you any advice or assistance.
I had no idea actually about Break and the programs it's been doing, and thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Streets and People podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who'd find it helpful. Your small action could make a big difference. We're on all the usual podcasting platforms, so don't miss a single story. To find out what else we do, check out getaroundcaboolture.au. Until next time, remember, there's more than one way to get where you're going. Keep moving, keep listening, and keep imagining streets made for people.